Part 42. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 429. Regarding the retreat of the triangle, both Kesha and De Kong breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts. The angel civilization has been fighting wars for hundreds of years, fighting to the death with two powerful civilizations in the known universe. What is it for? It is not the angel future that Kesha said. But until now, the future of angels that Kesha said has not come true. Instead, ordinary angels are faced with the sacrifices of countless familiar sisters. If Kesha, the king of angels, is like the embodiment of faith in the hearts of the angel warriors, plus with the strong support of the other three angel queens, I am afraid that some angel warriors have long been dissatisfied. But even so, there are still many angels who are tired of the ongoing war, and are looking forward to the day when the war ends, because then they can return to the angel nebula to see relatives they have not seen for a long time. Compared with Yi Yantang's angels, New Kamigawa is much more complicated. The various civilizations in the alliance have spent countless resources and manpower on physical warfare. Social forms such as the Kamigawa Tiandeo star people are slightly better than feudal ones. As the master of civilization, King Liang can easily suppress the anti-war sentiment within the civilization. But for existences with more democratic social systems such as Thunderblade and the Dino Double Star civilization, the government is almost unable to suppress the anti-war wave within the civilization. Before the danger really comes, those ordinary people will not care about any animal civilization. And the threat of the triangle. The attitude shown by the triangle and their large-scale withdrawal from the new Kamigawa galaxy, including the nearby star fields, have shown that they have given up their intention to expand here. Regarding this situation, Kamigawa and Angel had no intention of killing them all. After eliminating the triangular creatures within their sphere of influence, they withdrew to the new Kamigawa galaxy. What happened after that was also very simple. Kesha, on behalf of the entire angel civilization, got some of the high-end scientific and technological information and cutting-edge theoretical knowledge of Kamigawa that she had negotiated in advance from De Kong, and then decisively led the angel army back home. As the Holy Left Wing, Binghua did not participate in the negotiations between Kesha and Space. Instead, he went to the Red Star Ring to gather the Angel Legion there. Seeing that Angel Ran's temperament was much more mature and stable than that of more than 10 years ago, Binghua was extremely satisfied. After hugging each other cordially, the strangeness of more than 10 years of separation immediately disappeared. Well done, Ran. You can now take charge of your own business. You can lead an army on your own in the future. You don't have to be my deputy all the time. Binghua patted Ran's shoulder armor and sighed inexplicably. She was happy for Ran, but also a little regretful because there would be no angels to share the work for her in the future. Queen, I will always be your left wing and will never leave your command. Ran said very seriously, but Binghua did not continue to delve into this topic and waved his hand to indicate that he would not talk about it for now. We have defeated the triangular body, and the beast civilization is no longer capable of causing trouble. We will return to the Angel Nebula soon. And after you have been here for so long, do you feel reluctant to leave? Binghua and Ran were chatting while walking in the corridor of the palace. No, Queen, this is not my hometown of Angel Nebula after all, and wars are happening here all the time. Although I know that animal civilization is our enemy, I don't like meaningless massacres. Hearing this, Binghua opened his mouth to say something, but after thinking about it carefully, he decided not to. Forget it, this is just a character issue between you and me, and I didn't say anything to you. But you have to remember one thing, never let the kindness in your heart become your weakness. Binghua pointed at his heart, and Ran also listened very carefully. Queen, I will remember your teachings. The angel army of the Red Star Ring began to evacuate, leaving only the fleets of affiliated civilizations still clearing out the remaining beast civilization in the Star Ring. When the army of angels returned to Merlot heaven, they received a warm welcome from the angels in heaven. Countless relatives of the angel warriors came to the scene to admire the majesty of their daughter's triumphant return from the war. Watching the groups of soldiers wearing military uniforms, marching in neat steps, holding standard weapons and swords of the blazing sun passing by, the hearts of the angels present could not help but rise. A sense of pride. As ordinary people in the God-making civilization, they could easily get the latest news on the war in Merlot heaven. The residents of Celestial City are well aware of the purpose of angels participating in the physical war and the huge role they play in it. It can be said that if angels did not participate in the war, it could be said, the powerful Kamigawa civilization will probably be dragged to death by its two hostile civilizations. After that, the dominant creatures in the universe may no longer be the Kamigawa creatures today. Of course, those who are most happy about the return of Kesha, Binghua and Liangbing are not only the residents of Merlot heaven, but also the chief scientific officer of Angel, He-11, who is the holy right-winger. Some time has passed since the day of the triumphant return. Kesha sorted out the various information and Kamigawa theoretical knowledge she obtained from De Kong, and then uploaded them into the Angels database. As a scientific research officer, Hexie was very excited about this, because with some of Kamigawa's technical and theoretical knowledge as a reference, many of the problems faced by angels today will be easily solved. Yes, Kesha, you brought back a lot of good things this time, especially Kamigawa's functional super weapon engine. Kamigawa's second-generation divine body theory, this is also acceptable. It just so happens that our research on the second-generation divine body has stalled. With this, I can quickly perfect the technology of the second-generation divine body. Anyway, Binghua listened to Hexie talking to himself in the conference hall for a long time. It wasn't until Hexie browsed through all kinds of downloaded information that Binghua spoke up. Sister Hexie, your behavior makes me so sad. I worked hard outside to fight those savage beasts and triangles. Do you want me to be treated like this when I come back? Binghua pretended to be sad and said, while Hexie smiled. How could I forget your contribution, sister? Come on, how about I give you a loving hug as a reward? Faced with He-11's behavior of opening her arms, Binghua certainly did not pounce on him. She was not a child, and it was just a joke between her and He-11. Binghua waved her hands and said, forget it, Sister Hexie, just leave your loving hug to your good sister. I'm afraid that she'll know that I've taken her position and want to kill me with a sword. Now that she's at the same level as me, I can't restrain her without hurting her. He-11 just chuckled when he heard this, and then said proudly, how about it, my sister's strength is pretty good, I trained her myself. Binghua nodded immediately, and then joked, of course, Sister Hexie, I am fully aware of your teaching level, but it is a pity that your sister did not learn from your smart brain as well. At this moment, the protagonist of the conversation between Binghua and He-11, Hizui, was sitting on the balcony of his residence, casually shaking his exposed fair and smooth calves, his eyes scanning the aisle below from time to time, as if he was expecting something. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 430. After acquiring some of Kamigawa's theoretical knowledge on cutting-edge technology, Angel's technology ushered in a surge. Various new technologies are springing up like mushrooms after a rain, and the Angel's high-end weapon, the Flaming Sword, has also received a large-scale upgrade. At the same time, the Merlot Heavenly Court also issued a new decree. From now on, the Merlot Heavenly Court will no longer provide super gene upgrade services to ordinary angel civilians. The reason why this decree was promulgated was because of the situation. Even if the angel population is small, it is impossible for all angels to be upgraded to second-generation warriors. The issuance of this decree is also a precaution in advance to prevent ordinary angel residents from protesting when the Merlot Heavenly Court upgrades its angel warriors on a large scale. Another reason is that Hexi has made certain breakthroughs in his research on angel genes. For example, in the late stage of the physical war, Binghua's special spiritual defense was added to the angels by Hexi through the method of converting sacred language and dark information in the supergene. In fact, a layer of protection is added to the fragile brain of the angel, which can resist the mental oppression and impact from the triangle to a certain extent. Of course, this effect is not as effective as the targeted defense of the armor, but one is external protection and the other is internal protection. The combination of the two makes the protection effect better. At the same time, in order to enhance the combat and adaptability of the angel warriors, He 11 specially made a number of upgrades to the angel civilization's battle angel genes. Among them, resistance to high temperature, low temperature, and energy erosion is the most basic enhancement. Originally, ordinary angel warriors could fight for a short time in an environment with an ambient temperature of more than 1000 degrees to more than -270 degrees. However, this improvement allows ordinary angels to fight for a period of time in an environment with a temperature as high as more than 2000 degrees. At the same time, it also has a certain resistance to the damage of various energy weapons. Of course, this kind of resistance is even more enhanced in high-level angels. For example, third-generation angels can take a magma bath if they wish. Another upgrade to angel genes is reflected in battery life. Angel warriors can absorb light energy and radiation in the universe to a certain extent and maintain the most basic needs for movement. This also officially represents that ordinary angel warriors have the ability to survive alone in the universe even without the support of the Sky Blade. Of course, this ability will be strengthened to a certain extent with the upgraded Flaming Sword, and can restore medium and low-level physical damage to a certain extent. Then there is the upgrade of the Flaming Sword, which is the angel's cutting-edge weapon. The first is that after this upgrade, the Flaming Sword is more like a small energy converter with multiple functions than a weapon. First of all, the Flaming Sword has the ability to absorb and convert energy and provide it to the user. Then it has energy compression, spatial positioning, and a built-in micro-auxiliary computer. In addition to the main red gold, the material used to cast the Flame Sword also contains several newly discovered special elements. After a special proportioning plan, it is fused into an alloy that is harder and more resistant to high temperatures. Although this new alloy is still far from being a dark silver weapon, its high temperature resistance is very valuable because it can realize Binghua's previous weapon idea, which is a thermal energy blade. Of course, this thermal energy blade is not comparable to the thermal energy blades made by aerospace-level civilization. The temperature of its blade exceeds 10,000 degrees, and it can easily cut off any metal creation below the god-making civilization, and even the special features of some god-making civilizations. Alloys can also be cut. However, this maximum output state cannot be maintained forever, and the sword body needs to be maintained after the battle, otherwise it will easily cause the sword body to deform and break. Generally, the blade temperature is maintained at a high temperature of thousands of degrees. As for why memory metal is not used to reduce the number of maintenance times, it is because among the information known to Angel, there is no existence that reaches the standard strength yet. Another major event is that Kesha implemented an open order within the Angel Nebula in the name of Angel Civilization, which is a just order supported by the concept of justice. The just order takes the justice and moral values of the angelic civilization as its standard, and stipulates that civilizations that join the just order must abolish the slavery system within the civilization and ensure the relative freedom of civilized citizens, even on the surface. At the same time, angels will mine precious resources within the sphere of civilized influence under the order of justice for a fee. In addition, the development of weapons of mass destruction is prohibited, and the size of the military that joins civilization is limited to prevent the emergence of a large-scale arms race. The civilization that joined the righteous order paid such a high price, and what it got in exchange was by no means empty words from angels. Angel civilization will protect ordinary civilizations that have joined the righteous order, and provide necessary military support when the civilization is attacked by other civilizations that do not belong to the order. Under normal circumstances, angels will not interfere with the normal development of civilization under the order of justice, and will provide certain technical support when special circumstances arise. If a civilization under the order of justice encounters a major crisis, angel will solicit the opinions of the civilization and take final insurance measures. The concept of justice had already begun to spread among the angel legion during the physical war, and the legion under Kesha was the most affected. Therefore, when Kesha proposed the establishment of a righteous order in the heavenly meeting of Melo, few angels raised objections. Although Binghua feels that this order is too gentle, he has not yet discovered that this order has any harm to angel civilization. On the contrary, it will expand the influence of angels in the universe. There is no objection. Hexie doesn't care about the justice order promoted by Kesha. She is only interested in various Kamigawa theories and some conjectures in the database. Recently, except for accompanying her sister Hezui and occasionally chatting with Binghua, she has almost no spare time. Liangbing's attitude towards this was that it didn't matter, because no matter what order her sister implemented, it would have no impact on her as an auxiliary officer. As a result, this righteous order that would have a major impact on the future situation of the universe and angelic civilization was easily established, and was easily implemented by the King of Angels. As soon as the order of justice was implemented, it gained strong support from the middle and lower level civilizations in the Angel Nebula. Although those civilizations at the aerospace level were very reluctant, they could only join the order of justice because they were too close to the angels. If I don't join, I'm afraid that one day I'll disappear without anyone noticing. At the same time, the new Kamigawa civilization, which is separated by a large galaxy from the angels, is not having an easy time. After losing a unified enemy and an imminent crisis, the civilizations under Kamigawa began to fight openly and secretly, competing for each other's bodies after the war. Huge benefits. Although Daikong has the command of 3 war gods and part of the Super Warrior Legion, it is still unable to suppress all existences with evil intentions. The formerly powerful new Kamigawa is now beginning to collapse from the roots. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 431. As time passed, 100 years had passed since the end of the physical war, and the influence of the angel civilization began to radiate outside the Angel Nebula. Kesha's reputation also began to spread in the universe, and she was honored as the god of justice by those civilizations under the righteous order, and the Angel Legion was the sword of judgment in her hand, cutting off all injustice and bullying. During this period, the Angel Legion tried several interstellar empires known for their wars. Although they did not completely destroy them, their vitality was severely damaged and they did not dare to stir up trouble near the Angel Nebula. Those civilizations that had been oppressed and plundered by the Empire felt extremely happy about this, and they joined the Justice Order one after another and began to promote the concept of justice within the civilization in order to integrate into the large group of the Justice Order as soon as possible. Nowadays, as the influence of New Kamigawa is declining day by day, those careerists who once succumbed to the power of Kamigawa are gradually beginning to show their ambitions. Civilizations that were once peaceful and self-reliant are quickly turning into aggression due to unknown reasons. A natural destroyer. For a time, the universe became chaotic, with frequent local conflicts and wars, and only a few star fields maintained a relatively peaceful environment. First of all, it is within the scope of the Justice Order of the Angel Civilization. Because of the cruising Skyblade, those civilizations that launch wars do not dare to set foot within the scope of the Justice Order at will. You must know that Angel's Heavenly Blade battleship stole the show in the physical war. It is comparable to the hull of a planetary fortress, with powerful firepower at the level of star destroyers. One ship can destroy the resistance of an aerospace-grade civilization. Then there are the spheres of influence of several major god-making primary civilizations that make up New Kamigawa, such as the Kamigawa Tiendao stars, Thunder Blade stars, Dino stars, etc. The last relatively stable star field is the star field where Kamigawa Academy is located. Because of the presence of the god of war Kamigawa guarding it, those civilizations that waged war deliberately avoided this area. These three star fields are the most stable areas in the known universe at the moment. According to Binghua's prediction, Kamigawa will soon be involved in the wave of war. And the fuse really appeared. In the 400 years after the end of the physical war, several powerful civilizations under Kamigawa had digested the proceeds of the war and established their own god-making projects. At the same time, in order to develop, these civilizations secretly recruited other civilizations around the galaxy and formed a military alliance headed by several junior god-making civilizations. Although the strength of these military alliances has expanded rapidly, it has also brought about very serious consequences. That is, the situation in New Kamigawa has become even more anxious. Everywhere is full of the smell of gunpowder, just waiting for a spark to detonate the superpower. Explosive barrel. And soon this spark appeared. The Kalans of the Alliance headed by the Thunderblade Stars and the Tyrant Stars of the Alliance led by the Gulans had a conflict over the ownership of resource stars in the Orion Galaxy in the border area of the territory. At first, the Kalans and Tyrants just warned each other, but then it was unknown who fired the first shot, and it evolved into a local conflict, and finally a conflict within the star system. In the end, the Karan star suffered a defeat. After thinking about it carefully, he still felt that he was at a disadvantage, so he began to shake people. Soon, the alliance headed by the Thunderblade Stars formed a mixed reinforcement fleet to support the Kalan civilization under its command. The Tyrant civilization, which originally thought it was victorious, was naturally taught a lesson by this mixed fleet, so it also began to shake people and move out the Gulans people behind them. What was originally just a conflict between two small civilizations immediately turned into a contest between two large military alliances. Neither side was willing to give in, so the arm wrestling began. But in the end, no one expected that this conflict would be the last straw that broke the multi-civilization alliance of Kamigawa. As the conflict intensified, other civilizations in the dark were also worried about the chaos in the world. The conflict escalated again as a very important colonial planet of the Karens was turned into cosmic garbage. In order to retaliate for what the Tyrants had done, the Kalans dispatched a secret team with technical support from the Thunderblades. By using the shielding equipment from the Thunderblade Stars, this small fleet of the Karen stars successfully bypassed the Tyrant people's frontline detection equipment, arrived at the Tellan people's second administrative star, and dropped a dark matter bomb. Now things have completely gone wrong, and weapons of mass destruction have been introduced into the war, which means that the conflict between the two civilizations of Karen and Titan has once again intensified. In order not to disappoint other members of the alliance, the Thunderblade Stars and Gulan Stars, who were standing behind the two civilizations, could no longer maintain a wait-and-see attitude and began to compete in the ring in person. The conflict between two civilizations that had just entered the stage of god-making had an impact countless times greater than the war between the Kalans and the Tyrants. Nothing could be more heartbreaking for the ordinary soldiers on both sides than to see their former comrades become enemies at this moment. But for the benefit of their respective races and civilizations, these warriors who once fought side by side had to kill each other. As the casualties on both sides intensified, hatred gradually diluted the brotherhood, and the two sides gradually started to fight. Other civilizations in their alliance also gradually participated in this conflict. For a time, extreme changes occurred in the new Kamigawa galaxy. Big turmoil. By the time De Kong realized that the situation was developing in a direction beyond his control, the Gulans and the Thunderblade Stars had already put the latest achievements of their respective civilizations, god-making into the war. As the nominal leader of Kamigawa, Space is extremely sad about this result, and plans to send personnel to intervene in this conflict to mediate the conflict between the Thunder Blade stars and the Gulen stars to prevent the tragedy of fratricide within the Kamigawa civilization from continuing to expand. Power breeds desire, and strength boosts ambition. At this time, the words of a thinker in ancient Kamigawa in his own book have now become a reality. After the Thunder Blade stars developed their own god-making project, the awe they once had for the god of war in Kamigawa was gone. Due to social problems, the people of Gulen are not so obvious, but they no longer blindly worship the god of war. The god-making project Skybow, which was once completed with the help of Shenhe Academy, has been developed by the Gulens for the second generation. The bearer has not changed. He is still the Prince of Gulens who participated in the Titan god-killing war, Ramoka Edmund Lands. However, after hundreds of years, this once green young man has transformed into he became a powerful warrior and became the king of Gulens. His strength was several times stronger than during the physical war. The bearer of the god-making project of the Thunderblade stars is a warrior who has experienced hundreds of battles, known as Leo's power, named Hokus. The word Leo is the literal translation of the god of war in the ancient Thunderblade language. Although it seems strange to outsiders who do not understand their culture, in the eyes of the Thunderblade people, Horkus is the incarnation of the god of war. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 432. The Lanao star system is a complex galaxy with 5 major planets, each with several small satellites. Because each planet is not at a very suitable distance from the star, no life planets inhabited by intelligent life have been brewed. But precisely because of this, this star system is extremely rich in resources, including several precious resources that are extremely needed for a god-making civilization. It was precisely because of this that the Tyran and Kalan people, whose territory was connected to the Orion star system, refused to give in to each other, which eventually turned into a huge conflict that involved the alliances behind both parties. But now, it is meaningless to find out who is right and who is wrong. The Kalans and Tyrans, who were blinded by interests, have each paid a heavy price. At this moment, except for the Thunderblade stars and Gulens, the Kalans and Tyrans have completely withdrawn from the battlefield. The 5 planets that originally rotated regularly around the star have completely deviated from their orbits and been captured by the gravity of the star. If it weren't for the gravitational wave generator built by the Thunderblade aliens to offset this pulling force, these planets floating quietly in the starry sky would, has already fluttered towards that bright and dazzling star like a moth towards a flame. Beyond the asteroid rubble belt at the outermost edge of the Orion galaxy is a yellow planet that looks like a spherical cake that has been bitten into. There are pieces of rock fragments and various metal warship wreckage floating around it, and of course there is no shortage of twisted and deformed corpses. Ahead is a fiery red planet covered with dense lava lines. It is very beautiful from a distance, but the several circular craters nearly 100 kilometers long on its surface are unusually eye-catching. What followed was a huge planet broken into countless pieces. Countless debris floated in the star field, colliding with each other from time to time. The real battlefield is behind this debris. The particle beam shuttles back and forth in the universe, hitting the transparent energy barrier and shattering into countless particle sparks. Occasionally, a thick particle beam penetrates the barrier and penetrates the battleship protected inside the barrier. Around these passionate space battleships, small shuttle ships quickly traveled across the battlefield, attacking those battleships that had lost the protection of energy barriers. At the same time, there are super soldiers in this starry sky carrying small jetpacks and holding high-energy particle guns who rush towards the enemy ships. Among them, the armor of the super soldiers of the Thunderblade stars is not bloated. It is thicker only in the vital parts. They rely on the jet power of the backpack to move quickly in the universe. The weapons are guns that can emit bright yellow beams in their hands. They have extremely strong penetration. The Gurlan super warrior armor is very light, with a thin layer that fits the surface of the body. They also have energy firearms in their hands, but the purple light they emit has a strong corrosive effect. The Thunder Blade Star who is hit will be eroded into a pool of residue by the purple energy spreading from the wound. A little further away from the battlefield, among the floating wreckage of the broken battleship, a female angel was hiding here, having a panoramic view of the battle. What is the ultimate grudge? I have been fighting for so long and I am not willing to stop. The female angel murmured, but no one around could answer her question, because she was an intelligence-gathering angel affiliated with Merlot Heavenly Court and under the command of Apocalypse King Liang Bing. Because a war broke out between the two god-making civilizations within Kamigawa in the Orion Galaxy, as a former ally of Kamigawa, of course, you need to know the latest situation. So this high-level angel, who was proficient in space and hiding abilities, was dispatched to the vicinity of the battlefield to collect first-hand intelligence and send it back to Merlot Heaven. As for the angel's infiltration, neither the Thunderblade Stars nor the Ghulans, who were the protagonists of the war, knew about it, because the angel was quite experienced in concealing itself. In the palace residence on the sacred left wing of Merlot Heaven, Jingnan was massaging the shoulders of Binghua, who was wearing a long skirt, while talking about some interesting things he usually encountered. Binghua replied from time to time while flipping through the information in his hand. It was the information about the Thunder Blade Star and the Gulansi Star. It contains information on most of the warships on both sides, assessments of the power of weapons in the hands of soldiers, and even some coverage of the god-making projects of both sides. Queen, you said that they are all civilizations that make up Kamigawa. They were clearly friendly forces during the physical war, but why are they fighting now? Binghua cancelled the projection in front of him, leaned back, closed his eyes and shook his head slightly. The voices within Kamigawa are too mixed and there are many contradictions, and after losing the suppression of external crises, the internal problems that have been accumulated for a long time will naturally explode. If they can survive this period of time, Kamigawa will stand at the pinnacle of the known universe in the future. Then what if the Queen and others fail? Binghua's lips raised slightly when he heard this. It's very simple. From now on, the Divine River will only appear in the historical records of various civilizations in the universe. The angel civilization only holds a wait-and-see attitude towards Kamigawa's internal problems, with no support or intention to participate. However, the war that took place within the Kamigawa galaxy did not mean to end there. Faced with De Kong's mediation, both sides did not buy it very much. Because this war has changed from a conflict of interests at the beginning to a battle of reputation. As long as one of the two sides shows signs of retreating and admitting defeat, the alliance they have worked so hard to build will quickly fall apart. In order to completely overwhelm the opponent and win the conflict, the Ghulans pulled the Kamigawa Tiandeo star into their own chariot. Because the social forms are relatively similar, the Shenhe Tiandeo people did not refuse. In addition, the two parties' spheres of influence were far apart, and there would be no conflict of interest in the future. Therefore, Liang Emperor agreed to serve as an ally of the Ghulans people to Lei Yang. The Blade Stars applied pressure. As a result, the enemies of the Thunder Blade Stars changed from one god-making civilization to two, and the civilizations they followed were suppressed by the affiliated civilizations of the Shenhe Tiandeo stars. After all, they are all nominally part of the Kamigawa alliance. The three major god-making civilizations within Kamigawa did not completely break up and enter the all-out war. The most intense area of the war has always been maintained near the Orion Galaxy by both sides. The three major god-making civilizations can maintain restraint, but the subordinate civilizations are different. Taking advantage of the conflict, they began to plunder the resources of the opposing civilization, and various local conflicts continued. As if cancer cells are spreading, more and more civilizations under Kamigawa are involved in this conflict. With the passage of time, the new Kamigawa galaxy gradually split into the Thunder Star territory headed by the Thunderblade Stars, the Interest Alliance group headed by the Kamigawa Tiandeo stars and the Gulans, as well as the neutral Dino stars, etc. A group of civilizations at the pinnacle of aerospace, and finally Kamigawa Academy, which cannot take sides at this moment. The once powerful alliance of Kamigawa is now full of cracks and is about to be blown into pieces by the crisis from within. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 433. The blue sky is filled with sparse white clouds, and soft light falls on the many palace courtyards of Merlot heaven below. After thousands of years of development, the size of Merlot heaven has expanded several times, and the angels that originally lived scattered throughout the angel nebula are increasingly concentrated towards Merlot heaven. On a fairly spacious balcony, Binghua and Hexi sat apart from each other. In the middle was a small square stone table with a pot of tea and 2 porcelain cups with some cyan patterns on the surface. Sister Hexi, do you think Kamigawa's problem will happen to us angels? Binghua stared at the sky outside the pavilion and said suddenly. Hexi just smiled and picked up the cup beside him and took a sip. That kind of situation is impossible among us angels. We angels are so united. In another 10,000 years, there will not be a situation like Kamigawa attacking each other. Binghua nodded seriously. Yes, we angels will never have civil strife like Kamigawa did. Hexi felt that Binghua's tone was a bit weird, but he quickly didn't care about it. By the way, I came to see you today. Besides drinking tea, I also want your help with something. What's the matter? If you need to verify some technical difficulties, please forgive me that I can't do anything. Binghua also recovered from his previous state. When Hexi asked for help, he did not refuse, but still expressed that he was powerless to solve some problems. Don't worry, sister, am I the kind of person who would embarrass you? Binghua didn't make a sound, signaling He-11 to stop being so pretentious and to tell him if there was anything he needed. That's it? One of my scientific research angel teams lost contact while conducting an investigation outside the Tianyu galaxy. I asked Shaolin, the angel in charge of intelligence under Liang Bing, to help with the investigation, but nothing has been discovered so far. Hearing this, Binghua also frowned slightly. Aren't the research angels only responsible for doing some scientific research work in various research bases? Why did they come to the Tianyuan galaxy, which is a susceptible area for chaos virus to be infected? He-11 also shook his head helplessly. There are always some angels who like to explore the so-called truth and will not hesitate to take risks themselves in order to eliminate disgusting things like the chaos virus. Binghua understood immediately after hearing the words, and at the same time, she checked the angel database in her mind. With Binghua's authority, the database of the angel civilization was undefended against her. She quickly searched for what He-11 said. Those angels. It was a research station established near the Tianyu galaxy. The main project it was responsible for was to target the chaos virus and find a way to completely eliminate it. But until now, Carrier, the angel in charge of this research station, has not been able to find an effective method against this virus. However, it is not without any research results. For example, energy agents that can inhibit chaos virus infection and small radiation energy field equipment are all things that can suppress or eliminate chaos virus within a certain range. But the variability and evolution of this virus are what give angels the biggest headache, because angel civilization is not very good at biotechnology, and there seems to be some defense measures in the genetic fragments of this virus. As long as there are external threats, the genetic fragment that an entity attempts to scan will self-destruct, like an autonomous biological weapon that takes away the self-destruct program. The last record Carol left in the research station stated that she was going to the chaos virus-prone infection zone to obtain the most primitive chaos virus sample to find the weakness of the virus. The susceptible area is the Tianyu galaxy, where a large-scale chaos virus infection broke out. After the war to eliminate the chaos virus, sporadic traces of the chaos virus still appeared occasionally, but the experienced angels knew how to eliminate this virus. If you have experience, you can usually control the infected area quickly. Binghua also took the threat of chaos virus very seriously. After returning to Marrow Angel, he stationed part of the Angel Legion near the Tianyu galaxy in order to prevent a large-scale outbreak of chaos virus. At the same time, within the Angel civilization, there are several research facilities for chaos virus, and Carol is only responsible for one of them. After finding out the cause of the situation, Binghua agreed to Hexi. I know, I will send angel warriors to find the location where Carol last disappeared, but don't have high expectations. I looked at the information, and it seems that she is not an angel who is proficient in combat, and the mature infected body of the chaos virus is not weak. Hexi sighed and understood what Binghua meant. With your words, I feel relieved. As the Holy Right Wing with the same status as Binghua, he 11 is responsible for the scientific research angels and various research facilities of the entire angel civilization. As for how many scientific research facilities there are in a civilization, they start at least 1,000, which fully illustrates the amount of work he 11 usually has. Fortunately, Hexi's right-wing bodyguard from her time at Tianji King is still there and can handle some messy little things for her. Otherwise, she might not even have time to drink tea with Binghua. Outside the Sky Meteor Galaxy, in the starfield close to the starfield where Marrow Heavenly Court is located. Yinga, wait a moment, Sister Ming wants you to come over. Yinga, who was walking slowly through an area, immediately turned around when she heard the sound, and found that the person calling her was an unfamiliar female angel. Sister Ming, what do you want from me? Facing Yinga's question, the female angel in charge of delivering the message just shook her head and said she didn't know. Confused, Yinga could only come to Angel Ming's office in person. Sister Ming, what do you want from me? Are you in such a hurry? Seeing Yinga come in, Angel Ming, who was sitting there, felt relieved and spoke directly. It was an urgent order from the Queen. A group of angel sisters went missing in the Tianyu galaxy. The sister unit responsible for intelligence collection came several times but failed to find any useful clues, so this search mission fell on us. Yinga, you are one of the most elite angel warriors under my command, so I plan to leave the search mission to you. Please read the mission information first. After reading the information, Yinga knew that she had no room to refuse, but she still spoke out. Sister Ming, I'm applying for Ziluo to join this mission, so the chance of finding him will be greater. Angel Ming raised his hands, crossed his fingers in front of him and pondered for a while, then called up the record and looked through it before speaking out. Yes, but Yinga, you have to set off first to reach your destination. Ziluo is on a clearing mission. When she comes back, I will arrange for her to join you. After hearing this, Yinga had nothing else to do and planned to go back to pack her things and gather her team. However, just when Yinga was about to leave the room, Angel Ming stopped her. Yinga, this mission may be in danger. It just so happened that the Academy of Sciences sent us some good things for us to test. Go and see if there is anything useful. Upon hearing this, Yinga expressed her gratitude to Angel Ming, then turned around and left simply. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 434. Yinga. Why are you here? Have you been transferred to the Scientific Research Unit? In the scientific research area of the Skyblade battleship, a scientific research angel who knew Yinga was surprised, but Yinga just nodded and replied. No, I just came to get some things. Looking at Yinga's back, the scientific research angel murmured doubtfully, get something, are there any investigation tasks recently? Yinga followed the location given by the angel inscription and came to a remote area of Tianren Scientific Research Department. She saw the experimental area sign next to the light golden doorframe. After a moment of pause, Yinga stepped in and heard voices coming from the front. If it weren't for the results of your genetic test, I would have doubted whether you were an angel. Your level of understanding of space is not even comparable to that of a non-combatant like me. Although the words were sarcastic, judging from the tone of the voice owner, it seemed more like he was stating a fact. Sister Gue, I have tried my best. This thing is beyond the control of ordinary angels. How about we stop this experiment? Forget it, it seems that you cannot continue this project based on your ability. I will find a suitable experimenter in the future. This is a fighting method that His Excellency the Heavenly Sword King once used, and it has successful cases. After the owner of the voice finished these words, there was also a slight sound of deflation as an angel relieved his burden. Yinga walked through a short passage and came to a fairly spacious hall. The hall was roughly divided into two parts. One side was a work area with various functional equipment, and the other side was a slightly empty virtual projection training area. District. When Yinga arrived, the virtual projection also closed, revealing 4 female angels inside and 4 simplified flaming swords floating in the air. The simplified version of the flaming sword abandons all additional battery life recovery functions, retains only the extremely powerful thermal energy blade and light energy absorption, reduces the width of the sword body, and removes the sword grid. Except for the sacred language on the spine of the sword, it seems that it's like another weapon. The one who seemed to be the leader was an angel with a rather cold expression. His long blonde hair was tied into a low ponytail hanging down his back. He was not wearing the armor of ordinary angels, but an angel with a white coat that reached to his knees. Yinga was a little confused. This was the first time she had seen this outfit. At this time, the blonde female angel in a white coat also saw Yinga, and then she gave instructions to the 2 female angels wearing armor next to her. Put the things back, and you can make some optimizations to the built-in weapon engine data based on Muir's control data just now. The 2 female angels turned around and left after recovering the simplified flaming sword floating in the air, while the blonde female angel walked towards Yinga with the slightly young-looking female angel beside her. Before Yinga could speak, the blonde female angel spoke first, speaking in a lukewarm tone. You are the angel who came here to pick out the equipment. Ming has already said hello to me. Come with me. Yinga opened her mouth to say something, but what was left to her was a figure that gradually faded away. At this time, the tender-faced female angel who had just been following the blonde female angel came up and said with a smile on her face. Don't worry, I apologize to you on behalf of Sister Wei. Her character is like this, neither cold nor warm to anyone. In fact, as long as you get along with her for a long time, you will know that Sister Wei is actually a very good person. Muir. The tender-faced blonde female angel smiled, then quickly chased after the female angel in white coat who had already walked some distance away, and shouted several times, Sister Wei, wait for me. Yinga said that she couldn't understand it, but she quickly followed him. After passing through some devices with unknown functions and passing through an area that required information authentication, the 3 Yinga girls came to a room filled with many items. Yinga carefully looked at the objects floating around in the blue cylindrical force field. Many of them had no function from their appearance. Can I know what these things do? After Yinga watched for a while, she turned around and asked Gue who was debugging something. Gue raised her head slightly and glanced at Yinga. She did not choose to tell Yinga the detailed functions of these things, but asked aloud, what is your name? I can recommend weapons and equipment that are more suitable for you. Yinga also said her name readily, and Gue immediately started to connect to Angel's database through the equipment in the room to query Yinga's information. Muir on the side leaned over and glanced curiously, with a look of surprise on his face. Because Yinga is a high-level angel warrior who has served for more than 1,000 years. He has participated in many large-scale battles such as the male and female angel war, the Skyfall Galaxy battle, and the physical war. This kind of resume is not common in today's Angel Legion. See. What follows are some of Yinga's combat data, as well as information on the special weapons and trial gun boxes he is equipped with. A few minutes passed quickly. Gui relied on her powerful information reading ability, and after browsing Yinga's information on combat, she already had some ideas in her mind. I have roughly browsed your combat information. Your combat style is more mobile support and lacks the ability to kill with one hit. Numbers 021, 028, and 031 can make up for your flaws, while numbers 203 and 206 can make up for your weak points of protection. You can choose by yourself. Upon hearing this, Yinga came to the numbers Gai mentioned with interest, and Gai also retrieved the data represented by these numbers with great discernment. No 021 is a large firearm with a rather sci-fi appearance and a length of 1.4 meters. There is a dark energy field in the barrel. It can launch special bullets at more than 10 times the speed of sound, with terrifying penetrating and lethality. There is also a power storage mode. After a few seconds of charging, No 021 can fire bullets at the speed of the third universe. The cost is that the firearm is scrapped and needs to be remade. After reading the parameters, Yinga moved her gaze downwards and saw the bottom label. The structure is complex, consumes huge amounts of energy, is too difficult to manufacture, and is difficult to process bullets, making it impossible to produce on a large scale. Then came 028 some distance away. It had a rather peculiar shape and an energy crossbow with a red circuit on its surface. Although it looks like a crossbow, it does not require manual winding. Instead, it uses the energy collision effect to compress the energy and launch it. There are two modes, one is explosion and the other is penetration. As for the note at the bottom, it is also very simple, some functions overlap with the flaming sword, and it does not have the general versatility of the flaming sword. This evaluation is very appropriate in Yinga's opinion. Although the flaming sword is biased toward close combat, it also has good long-range combat capabilities. Coupled with its strong functional adaptability, individual long-range weapons such as 028 are a bit useless. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 435. 031, Arm-mounted multifunctional particle gun. This is the most peculiar weapon among the three weapons. Although there is a word for gun in the name, it is not a handheld weapon, but an arm guard that is bulkier than the original Angel armor. However, there is a muzzle that can emit particle beams hidden in this arm guard. There are three modes in total, namely scattering mode and concentrated beam mode, and finally the high-energy particle sword with the highest output power. It seems to be a very comprehensive weapon, but it has one of the most fatal flaws, which is the energy supply problem. The inventor of this weapon is not the Academy of Sciences, nor Gui, but the current Holy Left Wing, and there is only this experimental model within the Angel civilization. The first reason why no successor model has been developed is because the Angel civilization is not strong in the application of particle energy. Angel is better at the use of dark energy and stellar radiation energy. The second is that the power is unsatisfactory. The power of small particle weapons only threatens low-level super warriors, and only has harassment capabilities for high-level warriors. Large particle weapons are inconvenient to carry. Third, particle weapons are relatively common in the universe, and every civilization has certain defense methods against such weapons. The fourth is that particle weapons are prone to various problems in areas with harsh cosmic environments, resulting in reduced lethality and changes in firing trajectories. Then there are two defensive equipment recommended by Gui. The first one is 203, which is a miniature stance shield generator. It is only the size of a palm. When unfolded, it can create a hemispherical stance shield with a diameter of 2.5 meters, which can deflect energy attacks and weaken physical attacks. 206 is different from 203. It is a folding shield that functions very similar to the Angel standard shield. It is prismatic and 60 centimeters long, with the widest part being 20 centimeters. After activation, it can be deployed to create a transparent barrier that interferes with energy attacks, but cannot withstand physical attacks. The reason why this weapon does not appear in the hands of ordinary angels is because one of the special materials called energy concentrated crystals used to make the shield cannot be mass-produced. It is extracted from drifting asteroids and is currently within the scope of the Angel Nebula. No trace of this mineral has been found. Yinga felt a little disappointed after reading the information on the 5 types of equipment recommended by Gue, because none of these things could greatly improve her combat effectiveness. But after thinking about it, she understood that if she really had such good equipment, she would have been there long ago. The Angel troops are in line. In the end, Yinga combined her own combat style and chose 031 and 206. Because Yinga was unwilling to give up her mobility advantage and had no experience in using long-range weapons, she chose the 031, which has more comprehensive functions and can increase certain protection capabilities. Of 206. Gai didn't say anything about Yinga's choice, because she was not a warrior, just a scientific research angel who had never been on the battlefield. But when Yinga was about to leave, Gue handed her something. It was something with intensive sacred language engraved on both sides. It was shaped like a handleless sword blade, with a very slight gap in the middle. This is what I was asked to give you from above. As long as you activate it, miracles will happen. I hope you won't need it. Reaching out to take the thing, Yinga immediately felt that the thing in her hand was unusual, because there was an extremely powerful energy reaction inside it. After listening to Gue's words, Yinga's impression of Gue changed a lot. She nodded with a chuckle and agreed, then turned and left the experimental area. You gave that thing to an angel on a mission. How should I say hello to you? He 11 looked at Binghua, who had an indifferent expression, and felt as if his heart was blocked and needed to be slowed down. Binghua smiled nonchalantly and said, Sister Hexie, do you think I'm making a fuss out of a molehill? Isn't it obvious? That thing is not an energy-producing thing. It took me a long time to tinker with it. It was intended for your emergency use, but you... Okay, Sister Hexie, don't be so angry. Things are meant to be used, otherwise they lose their value. I have thought about it carefully these days and found that the disappearance of the Research Angel investigation team is probably not an accident. The power of the chaos virus is not strong enough to block the signals sent by our angels. Even if the investigation team encounters danger, I believe there is nothing in the Tianyu galaxy that would prevent them from even sending out a distress signal. It is very possible that there is someone blocking the transmission of information, which prevents us from finding the location of the investigation team. If this is the case, the question is worth pondering. What is it that is worth the risk of offending the angels? Looking at Binghua's appearance, Hexie found that her thinking was gradually unable to keep up with her sister's. She felt that it was necessary to give her brain, which was filled with various calculation formulas and genetic engineering, a holiday. As the holy left wing, Haiwa, apart from occasionally taking time out to develop his favorite weapons, is also concerned about the current situation in the Kamigawa galaxy. After the Shenhe civilization gradually split into several power groups, the Thunder Star territory gradually entered a disadvantage. Even if the Kamigawa Tiandeo Star people did not exert their full strength, they still had a great influence. To put it bluntly, today's Thunder Blade Stars are being blasted by the Kamigawa Tiandeo Stars and the Gulans. They only have the ability to defend and have no ability to fight back. If these things continue, it will only be a matter of time before the Thunder Star territory is disbanded. As for the Kamigawa Academy led by Okura, Hyuka sees it as almost a mascot. The reason for this situation is entirely because the descendants of ancient Kamigawa are too rare. Coupled with the spread of god-making technology, the Kamigawa civilization has lost its mystery. Although its civilizations are afraid of the second generation of Kamigawa war gods controlled by De Kong, their attitude of worshipping gods has changed a lot compared to before. The Sky Meteor Galaxy, the last signal stop area of the Scientific Research and Investigation Team, is a planet with a large asteroid belt nearby. The elite team led by Yinga has also arrived nearby through the Stargate established in the Tianyu Galaxy, and arrived nearby on a Sky Sword assault ship. As a high-level angel, Yinga was assigned to 2 elite teams by Angel Ming for this operation, that is, there were 2 second-generation angels in the team and they had rich combat experience. As for the team composed entirely of second-generation angels, they are only products that may appear during large-scale wars, or they are the Queen's bodyguards. The 2 angels stayed behind on the Sky Sword assault ship as ordered, and the remaining 9 angels, including Yinga, flapped their wings and flew to the place where the signal disappeared, intending to investigate first. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 436. Surrounded by asteroid fragments ranging from several meters to more than 10 meters in size, Yinga kept scanning the surroundings, hoping to find some clues. Until a few hours passed, Yinga's brain felt a little tired, but there was still no gain. The same goes for the other 8 angels who spread out to search, but this did not discourage Yinga because this was something that was expected. According to the report of the detective angel, they squatted here and searched secretly for several days, but did not find any traces of the scientific research team. The only difference between the Yinga division and the reconnaissance force is that on the one hand it is a covert search, and on the other hand it is an open and honest investigation. This time lasted for 3 days. Yinga led his team members to investigate a total of about 20% of the asteroid belt. But what Yinga didn't know was that their investigation operations over the past few days had been exposed to the observation of a secret group of people. "Captain, if these angels continue to investigate like this, they will find us soon. What should we do next?" The tall figure, covered in black armor and with a jetpack behind him, looked away from the screen and said in a deep voice, "Tell me to go down and prepare for battle. The dark information shielding equipment is ready to expand coverage at any time." Other soldiers around him who were wearing similar styles to this figure said at the same time, "Yes, Captain." No one raised any questions because they were soldiers and just had to obey orders from their superiors. After all the surrounding soldiers left, the captain opened the isolation door of the communications room and walked in. After certification, the equipment in the communication room began to operate and contacted a large battleship far beyond the Angel Nebula. "Your Majesty General, I'm sorry to bother you with the special encryption method." The being known as the General is a man with white hair and brown eyes who wears a special black and red uniform and has a rather resolute expression. "Did something go wrong in the operation?" "Yes, General, our sample collection work has not been completed yet, but the Angels team used to search for the missing angel has already found our area. If we don't take any action, we will be discovered soon." Hearing this, the general sitting on the seat frowned. "This is not a small matter. You must know that angels are not easy to mess with. The reason why they did not hesitate to come to the Angel Nebula from New Kamigawa this time was because of a very special cosmic virus. According to limited information, even angels had no way to deal with this virus. And they were very lucky. Not long after arriving at the Angel Nebula, they discovered traces of the chaos virus, but they were discovered by a team of angels during the process of collecting virus samples. The collection team was shocked at the time, but the captain of the special force who led the team reacted very quickly and quickly subdued the team of angels. After that, he eliminated the battle information, erased the traces and hid it. As for the group of captured angels, they were imprisoned in a secret prison in the asteroid belt. As for why these angels were not killed, it was because the general did not want this matter to become a big deal, and there were also captured angels. There is an angel researcher among the angels, who seems to know the characteristics of the chaos virus very well. How long will it take for the sample collection to be completed? The general did not answer the captain's question directly, but first asked how long it would take. General, it will take about 2 days. After that, warships will be needed to send out a response force to receive the results of the collection team and return home. After hearing this, the general pondered for a moment and then said, in this case, let's fight and hold back this angel team or repel them. Complete the collection work before they send reinforcements, and then you can take a small ship and leave the Tianyu system from the other side. Finally, remember to eliminate anything related to the Thunder Star realm. Thunderblade Star will remember your efforts. Hearing this, the captain on the other side, Crawl, trembled. He understood the meaning of the general's words, but he still gave a military salute to indicate that he had accepted the mission. Captain, do we really want to ambush the angels here? I heard that the angels' warriors are very powerful. Are we enough? A group of more than 40 figures wearing black armor, with jetpacks on their backs, and holding energy guns were moving silently through the gaps in the asteroid. Although the angels are powerful, they are not invincible. We will act according to the plan later. They only have 9 people. We have 43 people here. We will definitely win the final victory. Crawl comforted his men on the communication channel. Wait a while for the snipers from each team to set up sniper points around, and the remaining people entertain the angels according to the battle plan arranged in advance. Also, don't be careless. It was just that we were lucky the previous time and the combat troops we met were not angels. What we have to face next are real angel warriors. On the other side, Yinga listened to the report of the angel who stayed behind with the sky sword. An unknown communication signal was detected in an area of the asteroid belt, and she planned to go over to investigate the situation. Sisters, now gather around my area as the center point, and then move forward in combat formation towards the location where the heavenly sword is sent. When the angel warriors cruising and searching in the surrounding area heard this, their flight path immediately moved closer to the direction of Yinga, and soon formed an equilateral triangle. Tens of minutes later, Yinga had arrived at the location where the signal detected by Tianjian was sent. However, this place was exactly the same as other areas in the asteroid belt, consisting of irregular-shaped asteroid fragments. Captain Yinga, do you need us to spread out and search the surrounding asteroids? A team leader under Yinga asked, but was rejected by Yinga. No, the signal's appearance time is too coincidental. It may be a bait to attract us, so we must be careful and not disperse at will. After Yinga and other angels entered the ambush circle, Crawl's expression covered by his helmet became serious, because the angels were much more cautious than he thought, but he had also expected this bad situation. Snipers, prepare to attack and disrupt their formation. Others will divide them according to plan. Remember, don't be too enthusiastic to engage in one-on-one battles with angels in the universe. That is asking for death. The other soldiers in the team whispered understood in the communication. The mechanical fixed bracket was unfolded and stuck on the surface of a stationary asteroid that was more than 10 meters in size. A soldier wearing black metal armor held a large black firearm that was 2 meters long and locked his goggles and firearm. The systems are connected together. Instantly, the scene in front of them continued to zoom in, and soon the figures of Yinga and the female angels appeared. Isn't this quite simple? Lock on, pull the trigger, and no one can escape my sniper. A small energy arc began to appear on the front end of the barrel of the large firearm, which even affected the sensor system of the soldier's armor, making a sizzling electric sound. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 437. Yinga, who was leading the team forward, suddenly sensed something, and immediately moved her eyes to one side. The next moment her pupils condensed, and she immediately shouted, "Spread out." The angels around them were all veterans who had experienced the test of physical war. They spread out to the surroundings almost subconsciously, away from their previous location. Just as the angels dispersed, a beam of light shot from out of sight passed through the center of the previous angel team. Several kilometers away, the snipers under Kral blinked in disbelief. You can avoid this. It's not surprising that he was surprised, because this was a sneak attack without any precautions from the enemy. Generally, this kind of sniper attack would yield good results. The scattered female angels spontaneously gathered towards their nearby companions, intending to form a triangular combat formation that could cover each other. However, Kral arranged more than one sniper, and several beams of light were aimed at the angel warriors. Although they failed to cause the reduction of the angels' numbers, they also successfully delayed the time for the angels to reorganize their combat formations. Yinga pulled out a gun of judgment and scattered a beam of light directed at him. He glanced around and took in a panoramic view of the scene, especially some unknown figures rushing out from behind the surrounding asteroids. These unknown people wore armor with a high level of visual technology and relied on small jetpacks on their backs to rush into the battlefield at high speeds. And because of the numerical gap between the two sides, the angels were dispersed in just an instant, losing the chance to reunite. As one of the lone angels, Yinga was naturally targeted by several enemies. However, it was just a hedge. The spear of judgment in Yinga penetrated and knocked away one of the enemies. Faced with this situation, several enemies who originally wanted to rush over and fight in close combat immediately spread out and started shooting with the unknown energy guns in their hands. Relying on her powerful computing power, Yinga flexibly walked through the incoming beam barrage, finding the right moment to shoot out the gun of judgment from behind, stabbing an enemy who was shooting with the gun to death. The remaining enemies were hiding away from Yinga's position as if they were hiding from the plague. Just as Yinga was preparing to continue the pursuit, he planned to kill all the young people who dared to attack their angels. Several extremely precise beams of light struck. Through calculation, Yinga found that the distribution position of the beam was very clever. It seemed that she had made special calculations to block all her forward directions. Although she didn't think these beams could cause too much damage to herself, Yinga still didn't choose to carry it to be safe. Instead, she flapped her wings and flew upside down in a Z-shaped trajectory to hide behind an asteroid. "Captain Kral, my shooting path is blocked." Kral, who was commanding behind an asteroid, cursed in a low voice when he heard this. But as soon as he came into contact with the angel, he lost several of his men. Among them, Yinga's side suffered the heaviest casualties. Kral felt that they seemed to have won a big prize. Judging from Yinga's combat effectiveness just now, it was obviously beyond the level of ordinary elite angel warriors. After Yinga hid behind an asteroid, she immediately contacted other angels. Several of the captains said that they were fine, but that they were entangled by several enemies and could not escape for the time being. Compared to the captain-level second-generation angels, the 6 first-generation angels in the team are much more dangerous. Raising his shield to block several beams of light from the enemy, the angel warrior flapped his wings around an asteroid, flew in an arc, and at the same time threw the spear of judgment in his hand. However, there were too many obstacles around him. The unknown soldiers besieging the angel warrior only had a flash of blue light from the jetpack's nozzle on their back, and then ducked behind other asteroids on the side. The failed judgment gun plunged into an asteroid in orbit, blowing it into pieces with a loud bang. After Yinga understood the current situation of his soldiers, he felt that he was the breakthrough in this encounter. In one direction, Yinga fiercely flapped his wings and rushed out from behind the asteroid that was used as a bunker. "Captain, that angel rushed out. But her speed is too fast, I can't lock her." Kral's expression changed when he heard this, and he immediately shouted in the communication, "The reserve team will come with me immediately. We can't let this angel leave here to support her men." The next moment, 5 soldiers led by Kral chased Yinga, and at the same time, they kept shooting to force him to stay away from the area where other angels were. And because of Yinga's threat, half of the snipers under Kral were paying attention to Yinga's actions. Yinga dodged to avoid another wave of barrages. She felt that this was not the way to go. The enemy's snipers were too troublesome. So Yinga found a direction, exploded at her maximum speed, avoided the oncoming asteroid fragments, and rushed to a location. When Kral saw this, he immediately knew Yinga's plan, and told the sniper to evacuate and hide in the communication. The sniper who was targeted by Yinga was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat the moment he saw Yinga rushing towards him at an alarming speed. He was not confident in facing a sniper who could kill him with a gun. Beam Monster Angel. The unfolded sniper rifle was restored to the easy-to-carry mode, and the bracket nailed to the ground was quickly folded and retracted. Seeing that all this was completed, the sniper breathed a sigh of relief and prepared to leave and hide. But suddenly several spears with a scorching red halo shot out and pierced into the asteroid at the sniper's feet. The next moment, the sniper's field of vision was filled with scorching fire. Kral's expression was extremely ugly. In the lower left corner of the goggles, another sign representing the physical condition of the team members disappeared just now. But soon Kral had to put away the grief in his heart, because the angel who killed several of his subordinates returned. After Yinga circled around and recovered her weapon, she turned back to the direction she came from, preparing to deal with the tail following behind her. Easily avoiding the incoming beam of light, Yinga raised her foot and kicked an enemy in the chest. The naked eye could see that the armor on the enemy's chest was dented. At such a close distance, it was no longer suitable to use the longer firearm in hand, so Kral pulled out a melee blade and activated the energy output. A flash of electric light appeared on the blade and it began to tremble at a level that was invisible to the naked eye. Yinga turned around and fired a sweeping shot, but was unexpectedly dodged by the enemy. However, facing the enemy's attack, she just dodged slightly to the side. Kral did not give up. Under his control, the jetpack behind him was like a pair of invisible wings, pushing him towards Yinga. Yinga dodged the incoming beam barrage and stabbed out with a spear, but was held by Kral with a war blade. However, the terrifying power of a high-level angel pushed Kral away, allowing Yinga to follow closely. The swipe hit the empty space regrettably. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 438. The other enemy soldiers who were covering the shooting saw that their captain Kral was knocked away, and they quickly pulled out 2 people to come to the rescue. Yinga's eyes, which were covered by her helmet and visor, were extremely cold at the moment. Although her personality was gentler than that of ordinary female angels, she would not pity enemies who dared to attack angels. The white wings on its back moved, and Yinga swooped down like a white meteor toward Kral, who was flying backwards. A red halo appeared on the gun of judgment in his hand, and with a few casual swipes, it shot away. The incoming beam attack was scattered into exploding spark particles. Then like a flying meteor, it knocked the 2 enemies blocking the road to both sides and flew upside down. Kral, who was flying backwards, ignored the flashing alarm message in his goggles, discarded the high-frequency war blade that had a chip in his hand, pulled out the pistol inserted in his waist, aimed at the approaching silver meteor, and pulled the trigger. Metal bullets with blue light were fired from the mouth. Compared with beam weapons, the kinetic energy carried by live ammunition weapons has always been difficult to block easily, and Angel is very good at dealing with such direct blows. Yinga's eyes narrowed, and the flying figure suddenly turned around, avoiding several bullets with blue tail flames. Just as he was about to penetrate Kral's armor with one shot, he suddenly shot out from the gap of the asteroid on the side. An unknown purple beam of light shot out. By the time Yinga saw it, the beam of light had already come to her side, and in the end she could only subconsciously raise her hand to block her face. But Kral, who originally had his back against an asteroid and used himself as a bait, stopped when he saw the opportunity. The jetpack behind him sprayed flames to the side, pushing him quickly away from his original position and hiding in the dense surrounding asteroids. The other people present also began to run away one after another, and soon disappeared. Yinga raised his left hand that had just blocked the attack, and the purple energy light flickered on and off on his palm, eroding his skin and flesh. However, as time passed, the purple energy became lighter and weaker, and finally dissipated completely after a few seconds, revealing Yinga's intact fair skin underneath. A few minutes later, Yinga gathered her team. There were no angels attrition, but several first-generation angels in the team were seriously injured and needed to return to Tianjian for treatment. Yinga also gave up the search for the asteroid belt, because she still didn't know how many enemies there were, and because she didn't have enough troops, she needed to return to Tianjian for a long-term plan. On the other side, Kral and his group of soldiers from the Thunder Star territory retreated, but their morale was low, because they had lost nearly one-third of their number during this operation, and more than a dozen brothers died in the battle with the angels. However, Kral successfully achieved his goal and attracted the attention of Yinga and his party. The next step was to play hide-and-seek with the angels in this natural guerrilla battlefield. After Yinga returned to the Tianjian assault ship, she immediately contacted her superior, Angel Ming, and reported the situation she had encountered before. An unknown force has infiltrated the Angel Nebula. It seems that the disappearance of the scientific research and investigation team is not an accident. I will let Ziluo lead 10 teams to reinforce you. Be sure to investigate the purpose of these people. Yinga nodded and then hung up the communication. After hearing that Ziluo would come to reinforce her, Yinga felt very happy because the two women had not fought side by side for a long time. Since becoming high-level angels, Yinga and Ziluo have led multiple teams to carry out missions. Therefore, except for the occasional encounter in the Angel Palace as their base in the Tianyu Galaxy, they rarely have the opportunity to meet. While Yinga was waiting for reinforcements and Kral was deploying guerrilla tactics, a special battle was going on a planet not far from the asteroid belt. This is the mutant. We must catch it. The sample of the original Chaos virus is in its body. A huge team of dozens of people surrounded a behemoth nearly 10 meters in size. Countless cables glowing with electric light were wrapped around its hideous and terrifying body. The jetpacks behind the dozens of armored warriors holding capture rope guns around them were constantly spitting flames forward, counteracting the terrifying power transmitted by the giant beast along the rope. 100 meters away from the battlefield, a middle-aged man wearing simple armor with a proud look on his face was giving orders, shouting to the soldiers below not to kill the beast, he wanted it alive. There are many types of Chaos virus-infected bodies, among which the original samples are organisms that have just been infected, because as the Chaos body infection intensifies and the number of alienated parts increases, the virus will become greatly different from its original appearance. The beast in front of them is a creature that was recently eroded by the Chaos virus. It is the target that the sample collection team has been looking for a long time. Because the environment of this planet is harsh, the creatures that can survive are extremely powerful. Therefore, they lack heavy weapons. Can only focus on the recently infected beast in front of him. Listening to the shouting of the scientific researchers accompanying the team, a tall man standing nearby wearing a breathing mask and wearing various unknown equipment and armor moved. He clenched his fists and crossed over to the scientific researchers. Personnel, heading towards the battlefield. Celta, let me tell you, if you smash my things into pulp like you did before, I'm not done with you. The next moment, there was only a muffled sound, and the head of the beast, which had been struggling in the hands of a dozen soldiers holding capture rope guns, sank into the ground. Only then did Celta's figure appear on everyone's retinas. The right fist he held was still stained with faint black blood, while other soldiers on the side took advantage of this opportunity to quickly step forward and tie the fallen beast tightly with a special rope, and then transported it to a 30-year-old ship. Near the multimeter ship. What happened after that was very simple. The middle-aged man who was yelling before used special equipment to extract the original chaos virus from the beast and put it into a special sealing box. It was only then that Celta walked up to the middle-aged researcher and asked, "Doctor, has the sample collection been completed?" "Hey, it's done. All I have to do is return to the base and I can create a perfect warrior." Celta only heard the words that the sample collection was completed. He didn't care about the rest. He turned away from the doctor who was excitedly observing the samples. Celta began to instruct the soldiers present to clean up the traces and prepare to evacuate the star field. At the same time, a large battleship parked outside the Angel Nebula also began to move, and dispatched a force composed of dozens of small assault boats, heading towards the Skyfall galaxy. Anyinga, who stayed in Tianjian to monitor the asteroid belt, finally received the long-awaited reinforcements.